regained his consciousness in the ICU and he overheard his wife discussing his inheritance over the phone. He immediately decided to play dead. Chetachi walks down a dark, narrow hallway, feeling a sense of oppression with each step. In the distance, a faintly lit door opened like a beacon. Shadows danced around him, whispering secrets he couldn't understand. Suddenly, a bright flashlight made him squint with a loud noise, echoed in his ear like distant voices. A deep booming voice told him he had to return, that his time was not over yet. He felt an invisible force pushing him and returning him back to the world of the living. Opening his eyes slowly, disoriented and unable to move his muscles, the only white light of the hospital room nearly blinded him as his senses returned. Chetachi tried to remember how he got there. Happy and painful memories mixed in his mind, creating a confusion tangle of images. Gradually, he began to recognize familiar sounds around him, and he turned to see his dear wife, Onyinyechi, speaking confidentially on the phone, telling the other person on the phone, "Soon, wait a little longer, everything will be in our name. Don't worry." Chetachi's heart stopped for a moment. Betrayal and pain washed over him. The woman he believed loved him, his dearest wife, was plotting his demise for his inheritance. He felt a wave of anger and despair, but also an unexpected clarity. He had to pretend to remain unconscious. He needed to uncover the whole truth and protect his inheritance. As the conversation continued, Onyinyechi and his lover Ben were scheming to take everything he had built. The pain and disappointment were overwhelming, but Chetachi found a spark of determination within him. He couldn't let them get away with this evil plot. While feeling unconscious, Chetachi watched every detail and listened to every word. He knew he had to stay alert and strong to face what was coming. Onyechi's betrayal was a devastating blow, but also a call to action. Finally, Onyechi hung up the phone and approached his bed, whispering comforting words. Chitachi prepared for the long road ahead, the battle for his life and his inheritance and his dignity, as Onyechi visited him in the ICU every day with a worried expression on her face. But he did not care as he was aware of her betrayal and plot to finish him. Chetachi saw her beyond her act. He noticed how her eyes glittered with a coldness that had previously gone unnoticed. He no longer found comfort in her voice. He only sensed falsehood. One day, while Onyuchi was next to his bed, her phone rang. Chetachi tensed, anticipating another revealing conversation. Onyuchi looked around to ensure no one was nearby and answered in a low and hushed tone. "Hello, Ben," she said, her voice filled with a warmth she never used with Chetachi. "Yes, I've talked to the lawyer. Everything is in order. We just need to wait a little longer." Chetachi felt a sharp pain in his chest. Ben wasn't just a lover, he was also his business partner. Someone he had trusted blindly. Hearing his name in that context made the betrayal even deeper. He struggled to stay still, fighting the anger and pain that threatened to give him away. "Yes," Onyinyechi continued, "once Chetachi is dead, he will no longer be an issue. We can proceed with the transfer. There will be no problem. Everything will be in our name." Chetachi closed his eyes tightly, trying to control the flood of emotions. He felt a mix of rage, sadness, but he had to stay strong and keep listening to every word his wife said. Each piece of information was crucial to forming his plan. Onyechi ended the call, acted as if nothing happened, turned to her husband with a tender smile. "Everything is going to be fine, my love," she said softly, caressing his head. "You will get better soon." Onyechi kept visiting always with that marks of concern, while Chetachi listened to her secret conversation with Ben. Every word, every gesture reinforced Chetachi's conviction that he had to do something to stop them. One morning, as the sun gently filtered through the room, curtain, as Onyechi entered with a look of genuine concern, she sat beside his head and took his hand as she said, "My love, The doctors say you need time to recover, but I know you are strong. I know you will get through. Chidachi looked at his wife through half-closed eyelids, feeling a mixture of disgust and sadness. The woman he had once loved and trusted completely was now a stranger, a traitor. One afternoon, while adjusting Chetachi's monitor, Dr. Oge noticed his eyes following her movement. It was a minimal but significant change. She decided to stay a few minutes longer, observing discreetly. Chetachi, she said softly, almost a whisper, if you can hear me, move a finger. There was a moment of tense silence, and then, to her astonishment, Chetachi's index finger moved slightly. Dr. Oge felt a surge of emotion and relief. She knew she had to handle the situation carefully. From that moment, Dr. Oge began to visit frequently to observe his response to simple stimuli. With each visit, her suspicions were further confirmed that Chetachi was conscious, trapped in his own body. One afternoon, after reviewing his medical history, she leaned on his bed and started talking to him. Chetachi, I know you can hear me. If you are conscious, I need you to give me a sign with visible effort. Chetachi managed to move his finger again. Oge smiled, full of hope and determination. I am going to help you. Please, I need you to answer some of my questions, and if the answer is yes, move your finger. If no, do nothing. Chetachi, with renewed strength, moved his finger to indicate he understood. She began asking him about his condition and finally about his situation and his wife. With each movement of his finger, Chetachi told her his story of betrayal. Dr. Oge assured him not to worry, that he is going to get out of this situation, but he needs to recover first. I'll keep your secret. From that moment, Oge became his silent ally, who started changing Chetachi's routine, introducing small exercises to strengthen his muscles. Without raising suspicion every day, his wife Onyechi visited. Meanwhile, Adama, the young nurse, continued providing emotional care to Chetachi, although she was unaware of Chetachi's conscious state. Her words of encouragement and constant presence gave him the strength to keep going. Onyechi kept visiting, unaware that her husband was conscious of every move and conversation he heard. Dr. Oge leaned in and whispered, I am investigating how we can expose your wife and her lover. I need time to gather solid evidence. Trust me, I will help you out. Chetachi renewed hope as he knew he was not alone in this fight. Dr. Ogi gathered some evidence against them. She showed Chetachi the financial and legal record she had found, which contained irregularities that could be used as evidence. She also recorded some of Onyechi's conversation when he thought she was alone. But she needed more solid evidence to ensure they can't escape the consequences. One morning, while Onyechi was out, Dr. Oge brought the lawyer to Chetachi's room. She introduced him as a lawyer who will help them. He was a middle-aged man. While gathering the necessary information to ensure a decisive confrontation, Oge made sure Chetachi received the medical care needed to speed up his physical recovery without raising suspicion. She began spending more time at the hospital, using her shift to meticulously review Chetachi's medical and financial records. She discovered that Onyechi started transferring small amounts of money from their joint account to a private account. She handed the evidence to the lawyer. Meanwhile, Onyechi, as a loving wife, kept visiting him, unaware that Chetachi was conscious and aware of her plans. One morning, as she was talking on the phone with Ben, Chetachi knew that they were getting closer to executing their plan. He needed to act quickly. That afternoon, Dr. Oge brought a small voice recorder. I want you to have this and use it to record any relevant conversation. He took the recorder and hid it under his pillow. The next day, his wife came as usual and was making a call to her lover. He quickly, discreetly started recording the conversation. Later that evening, when his wife returned, as she was on a call to his lover, Chetachi rose from the bed. With shock in her eyes, she went to hug her husband, who pushed her away, telling her how wicked she was, how she planned with her lover Ben to kill and share his inheritance with another man. He brought out the record and played the recorded conversation she had made with her lover. Onyechi was dumbfounded. She was shocked as she never imagined her husband ever waking up from the hospital bed. Chetachi went ahead and showed her all the documents showing the transactions she had made over time by transferring his money to a private account. Suddenly, she fell herself pleading that it was the devil's handwork, that she please forgive me. Please, my love, I am sorry. Chetachi stood his ground. And suddenly, the police officer came in and arrested Onyechi. They went further to arrest Ben, and Chetachi the following week came to the hospital to appreciate Dr. Oge for all her help towards helping him to stop his evil wife's plan to take his properties. While he was leaving the hospital, he came across nurse Adama, who took care of him. He decided to take her out to show his appreciation. Soon they began dating. In a few months, they got married. Their wedding was the talk of the town, as it was graced by the high and mighty in the society. I've come to the end of this video.